Welcome back to From the Shed and welcome back to the channel. It's Premier League fixture release day, the day that a lot of football fans up and down the country look forward to. This is the day when we find out who you're playing at Christmas, who's your opening game of the season, what's your running like to the end of the season. It's all going to be done on the next 9 minutes. We're going to find out who Chelsea will be playing opening game of the season. We always tend to have, if I remember, relatively decent opening fixtures. Obviously, I think last season we had Man City quite early on in the season, but I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to the fixtures coming out, seeing who we've got. Obviously, we've got the Club World Cup still running. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the video that we put out yesterday in relation to our match against LAFC. We got Flamengo on Friday and Ez Tunis on Wednesday, 2 o'clock in the morning. Some early bird stuff going on there. Don't forget to subscribe as well as always. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you go over to the Linktree link as well, which is in the description. And you head over there, you look at our Instagram, follow our Instagram, Twitter, all of that good stuff as well. But I wonder who we're going to get. I wonder who we will get in the early stages of the season, because I was fine with seasons as well. I feel when you have whoever you get early on in the season, I feel just sets it sets the precedent of how the season's going to go for us. Ideally, you want to try and get some of the big hitters out of the way first, like we did last season. And we actually done well last season. You think back up until December, we was playing some really good football. But yeah, we need to make sure that whoever we get early on this season, we cope with them with ease. Yeah, I don't know. To be fair, the opening games that aren't that to me, the big parts of the season is the Christmas period. Obviously, we got Champions League football as well this season. So we need to kind of think, when are we going to be playing those games? Who are we going to potentially having around those times when we'll be playing some difficult games in the Champions League? But that Christmas period for me, that's when the season really starts. For me, I don't really pay too much attention to the league table until we get to that point where the season's up and coming, the league's forming, it's taking shape. That normally happens for me around Christmas. When that happens, that's when I start taking things serious. And that Christmas period can always be busy, because you do have, if you're still in the FA Cup, if you're still in the League Cup, you tend to have games that are in that sort of congested fixture list in December, creeping into January as well. So for me, yeah, man, we need to make sure that we have the squad to cope with whatever the fixtures give us this season. We have to talk about that left side still. I'm still in shock about how bad Noni Madueke was Monday against LAFC. I mean, we need to start seriously considering who is going to be playing down that left side of the attack. I don't think it can be Madueke, but we've obviously, the window hasn't reopened yet, but we're going to have to bring in some players, because if we don't, I don't think it matters who we play and when and where. I really don't. We have to bring in some key players in the next couple of weeks. And if I'm honest, I want to see those players come in very, very soon. I don't want to see them coming in deadline day, or, 2 days before the window shuts. They need to come in early. Once that window opens, if we're going in for Mike Maignan, or we're going in for Jamie Gittins, whoever we go in for, let's go and get that deal done early. So when we've got the preseason, we're just there. We can get it done. Shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Not much transfer news at the moment. Nothing really coming out. What's everyone's thoughts actually on the Club World Cup? Can we honestly go on to win the Club World Cup? Have we got what it takes to win the Club World Cup? I personally think it's going to be tough, but I do think we can. I'll be honest. I do think we can. I do think we can. I think there's going to be a lot of teams like Real Madrid, PSG. You know, they've had long, grueling seasons just like any other team. But I think for them, for us, this should be something. The way we finished the season in such a positive way, you'd like to think that would creep into the Club World Cup. You just don't know. But I think looking at some of the players, I was impressed with Delap Monday. I was impressed with Lavia, Caicedo, Cucurella. I'd even say I was impressed with Robert Sanchez. I thought Sanchez had a really good game in goal. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think we can win it. I'll be honest. I think we can go on to win it. I really do. Got to be positive. You got to be in it to win it. But let me know who you think we will get the first game of the season. There has been some leaked information. As there always is. There always is. There's always like leaked information on who's getting who first. Now, if it is true, we will be playing Liverpool. We always play Liverpool at the end of the season. If this is true, we will play Liverpool the 9th of May away. If it's true. Massive if it's true there. But the leaked information that I'm getting is that we will be playing Crystal Palace home, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away, Manchester United away. They're the first 3 fixtures. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what comes out in the next 3 minutes. But if that is our fixture list, then that's so be it. So be it. We just have to. You can only play what's in front of you. So I think let's see what we can do. Refreshing the page to see when they're coming out. They should be out in 2 minutes. 2 minutes time, we'll know our fates, who we have last game. The last game of the season is actually very crucial. Don't know about anyone else, but usually I'll go for like a season. Because I always think if you're winning, you're trying to win the Premier League, or you're trying to qualify for the Champions League again, or you're in the title race, those last 3, maybe 4 games of the season are so crucial. And yeah, this season should be no different. This season, I think we can actually push on. I think we got the objective of top 4 last season. We got the Conference League trophy. If we bring in the right players, if we can keep Reece James fully fit, we can bring in some cover for Cucurella. We can look at the goalkeeper options. But if we bring in that elite striker, if we bring in a top striker, that still could be Gyökeres. That could be Gyökeres still. It could be Osman. They still haven't signed any deals anywhere. If we bring in that level of striker, then I think we should be going on to win the Premier League. There's not much else. That midfield is set up. You've got Lavia, you've got Su, you've got Santos, you've got Lavia, you've got Fernandez. That midfield is heavily stacked with quality. Cole Palmer hopefully will thrive off the Liam Delap link as well. And if another striker comes in, you've got Pedro Neto on one wing. You've got the centre backs of, if we can try and keep Trevor Chalobah, Tossin, Colwell. The goalkeeper's a bit questionable, and obviously the striker options. But if we can get a striker and we can get a goalkeeper, I think we should be pushing. We were challenging for the Premier League last season, whether we want to agree with it or not. Last season, December, we were top. We were there. We were in and amongst the mix of the title race. So why can't we do it again? Why can't we push up? I think the list is out. Let's get the list up. Yeah, let's get the list up. Let's get the list. Let's get the list. Let's get the list, guys. Let's get the list. List. It's 9 o'clock. What's going on? We need the list. We need to see who's playing who. Here we go. We got the list. We got the list. It's coming up. Right, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. It's like Christmas Day. It's like Christmas Day, man. Need to see who we're playing. Okay, we got Sunderland last game of the season. Sunderland last game of the season. We begin our campaign on Sunday, the 17th of August against Crystal Palace. Our first 5 games officially will be Crystal Palace, West Ham. So Crystal Palace at home, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away, Manchester United away, and Brighton and Hove Albion at home. That's the first 6 fixtures for Premier League fixtures next season for Chelsea. We will end our season against Sunderland. Let's try and get the full list. It's not bad. That's not bad. I'll take that. I'll take the first 6, and I'll take. Here we go. The full list is confirmed here. So let's have a look. Let's share the screen. So here you have it. We've got West Ham away after Crystal Palace, Fulham at home. There's an international break on the 6th of September. We got Brentford away. Champions League match day 1. Potential Carabao Cup 17th. Manchester United away. Brighton home. Champions League game 2. Then we've got Liverpool at home, 4th of October. Another international break, which I'm not too bad about. I'm not mad at that at all. I'd rather play Liverpool before we go on the international break rather than come back afterwards and play them. We then have Forest away. Champions League game again. Sunderland at home. Potential Carabao Cup round 4. Tottenham away. Match day 4, Champions League. Then we go to Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton Wanderers come to us, Stamford Bridge. Another international break. Then we play Burnley. Then we have the Champions League. We then play Arsenal at home. Leeds United away. Bournemouth away. Champions League match day 6. Everton at home. Carabao Cup round 5. Newcastle, St. James's. This is the tricky bit now. This is the Christmas period. So let's go back. Let's go to Champions League, 9th or 10th of December. Saturday, December 13th, we're at home, which is good. We then potentially have a midweek Carabao Cup round 5 fixture. We then play Newcastle, St. James's. Aston Villa at home. Bournemouth at home. 30th of December. Then we go to the Etihad on the Saturday, the January the 3rd, away. I'm not too mad at that at all. If you just look at that period of fixtures from December, which is, like I said, is always the bit for me where you have to consider what kind of angle, how you're going to navigate your way through those fixtures and how is that going to unfold and impact the rest of the season. Leeds, we should beat them. Bournemouth, we should beat them. Everton at home, we should beat them. Newcastle away is a tricky fixture, I'll be honest. Villa at home, we should beat them. Bournemouth at home, we should beat them. So that's a good Christmas period, I'll be honest. That's, to me, although I did say that last season and I think we lost to Ipswich. Ipswich beat us and I think we drew to Palace and someone else, but this is a good run of fixtures to get you into that second half of the season. So after that, we play Fulham Wednesday, Craven Cottage. We then enter the FA Cup Saturday, January 10th. Potential Carabao Cup semi-final, January 4th. Brentford at home. Crystal Palace away, 24th of January. West Ham United, 31st of January. Potential semi-final, second leg, 4th of Feb. We then go to Molineux, Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Saturday the 7th. Leeds, again, could be a tricky fixture at that point for us, because in between that, we then have the FA Cup round 4, Saturday the 14th. Burnley at home. Arsenal away at the Emirates on Saturday the 28th of Feb. Aston Villa, March the 4th. Round 5 of the FA Cup, March 7th. Newcastle at home. Everton away, March 21st at the Bramley Moor. Carabao Cup final will be on the 22nd of March, followed by an international break. Quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So again, depending on how the season goes, we could be having a very lengthy break from Everton. If we are in the Carabao Cup final, or if we're not, let's say we're not at this precise moment, we have Everton at Bramley Moor, or Hill Dickinson, whatever you want to call it these days. But we will have a game there on the 21st of March. If we're not in the Carabao Cup final, we then go into the international break straight after that. And if we have dropped out of the FA Cup by the time we get to the quarterfinal stage, our next game from March 21st will be Saturday, April 11th at home, Stamford Bridge. Now, they have done us, which they always try and do, the Premier League. They've gave us Manchester City April 11th at Stamford Bridge. We then play Manchester United the following Saturday at home, Stamford Bridge as well. Now, could be Brighton or Hove Albion away at the Amex, or the FA Cup semi-final the following Saturday. Look at that. Look what they've done here. Look what they've done. So we then play Liverpool at Anfield. Now, if we are in the FA Cup final, the following Saturday, we'll be playing at Wembley. We then play Tottenham after, or potentially before that, but I think that game will be moved to Sunday, the May the 17th. Tottenham at home. And as I said before, we end the season at Sunderland, May 24th, Stadium of Light. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to lie. I do think the opening game will be tricky. I think Crystal Palace will, with the off the back of the FA Cup, they'll want to try and show that they can continue build that momentum from last season into this season. So I am a bit worried about that game. But what I will say is they may lose Eze. Eze's been heavily linked to Bayern Munich. We don't know what's happening with Mateta. I think his contract's come to an end, so I think he won't be there. They might renew it, but that game we should win. West Ham, I'm not concerned about. If Graham Potter's still there when we come to this fixture, which he will be, we should beat them. Fulham at home, we should beat them. Brentford away could be tricky, but again, Mbumo's been heavily linked to the United, and Thomas Frank is no longer there. He's now at Spurs, so that's a big one. The big test, I think, for us, our real big test will come in this period here. Match day 1 of the Champions League will depend on who we're playing, but will test us and see the levels that we currently are in terms of going from the Conference League, hopefully a successful preseason, and then going into the season. But that match day 1 will test to see the level of caliber that we've got at the club. We then go to Old Trafford, which I think will be a difficult game. I doubt Man United will be as bad as they were last season. And going there with the record that we've got at Old Trafford, which isn't the best either, I do think that will be a tricky game. We then play Brighton, who again, we've had ups and downs with them over the last couple of seasons. So I think that period there where you go back into the Champions League 30th to the 1st of October, around that fixture period, and then to play Liverpool at home, Stamford Bridge on the 4th of October, I think is going to be a tricky one for us. I really do. That's the busy period. I think that's when our season really kicks off for me. If I'm being honest, I think that's where the season's going to be. That's where I think we need to win those games. We need to beat West Ham, Palace, Fulham, Brentford. But I think for me, if we can go into that period and do well in the Champions League and then go on to beat Manchester United, Brighton and Liverpool, looking at the fixtures after that, Forest, we should beat them. Sunderland, we should beat them. Tottenham, we should beat them. Burnley, we should beat them. Wolves, we should beat them. So again, you're talking about setting up. You're getting into that again, that December period, very similar to last season, where you should be there or thereabouts in the mix for first, second, or third in the league, and it should be very tight um, for what we want to try and build that momentum on for the season. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not too, I'm not that, I'm not that concerned by the season. I'm really not. I think the season, I think the season will throw curveballs in. Any season does. Every season does. We know that. But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Is that a good fixture list? Is that a good way to start the season? Crystal Palace at home, which I think is a big advantage as well. I think, you start your season at home, it does give you that little bit of momentum. Um, as always, I do like to go in and check other people's fixtures. So the first game of the season is Liverpool versus Bournemouth on Friday. Of course it is. They want to have the Liverpool, the champions on TV first of all. United Arsenal, the first game of the season. That's a big one. It's a massive one actually. Some key games I'm looking at here. That United Arsenal game, first game of the season. Jesus Christ, that's a big game. Let's see what the last games of the season are for everyone, to be fair. Let's have a look. Some tricky fixtures, I'll be honest. There's some tricky fixtures for everyone last game of the season. So last game of the season, City will play Aston Villa. You'd think they'll be there or thereabouts for the league this season. Liverpool will have Brentford. And that's it really. I don't think Arsenal will do well this season, I'll be honest, but they've got Crystal Palace last game of the season. The weekend before that, City have Bournemouth. Liverpool have Villa. Villa could have a massive say in the Premier League, whether they're in it or not, but in terms of the winning it, but they're going to be playing Man City last game of the season. They play Liverpool the game before that. Look at that. That's a fixture. Manchester United, Liverpool 2nd of May, and then Liverpool will have Chelsea after that as well. And then they play Liverpool. So that's a bad running for Liverpool. That could work in our favour if we are there or thereabouts come the end of the season. You'd like to think we will be, and if we will, some difficult games there for Liverpool. Another Merseyside derby, back end of the season for them. So again, look, City, Arsenal. The thing with Chelsea that's good for us is that we're getting a lot of our big games out of the way very early on. A lot of these games we're getting played. We're playing Liverpool quite early on in the season. Arsenal quite early on in the season. Tottenham quite early on in the season as well. United early on in the season. So I'm glad. I'd rather get the big hitters out of the way first. Get those games that you think you might not do too well against, get those out of the way, because I think we sort of need to. Theo in the chat as well. 4 London derbies as our first four fixtures. I wonder if that's ever been done before. The last 2 times we won the Premier League, we finished the season versus Sunderland. Please don't do it. Let's not jinx the season already, Theo. But yeah, I think that's a very good point actually. Yeah, and you're right. I think as well for me, it's I think we should be going into this season with the same momentum that we finished it in, the way that we played up until the December period last season. I think we stand a very good chance of doing something. Like I said, if we bring in, for me, another option in the number 9 role, the attacking options, I think we should definitely start this season very, very well. I'm not essentially too concerned about the goalkeeper options. We still haven't seen Mike Penders and how well he can do. There's a lot of talk about Petrovic will be sold. I think there's a gentleman's agreement that he'll be sold. So we know that the Mike Penders, maybe Sanchez and Jurgensen will fight it out for the number 1 jersey. But for me, the key areas, the midfield, I'm happy with. But if we can bring in that top elite striker, someone to support Cucurella as a left back, and potentially another left winger, a winger that can play on the left side of the attack, I think I go into this season with a lot of I'm gonna say optimism. Um, yeah, first, Theo will be on this. So if you're still watching, you'll be on it. But I can't remember the last time we had 4 London derbies, which is quite good as well. And again, I'm gonna say it, but I feel like it's good because it's not as much traveling for the players. We already said a couple of weeks ago how much matches they played last season. They're currently at the Club World Cup. There is a preseason arranged, I think, for the 9th and 10th of August, amongst maybe some other behind the closed doors games as well for Chelsea before the build up to the season. So to not have to travel too far in your first 4 games, you obviously got the international break in between the Brentford game and the Fulham game, but to not have to travel too far, and then, like I said, you get that initial match day 1 of the Champions League out the way, whoever that will be against. You've then got, to me, this is the period here. So before the next international window on the 11th of October, that is the busy period. That is such a crucial period of our season. If we beat United, we beat Brighton, and we can beat Liverpool at home, depending on obviously results against for other teams. But if we can beat there's 4 matches, including the Champions League one, we come back from the international break and look at the period we've got. I mean, this is up until the next international period. That is doable. The squad depth that we currently have, providing that we retain Chalobah, we don't loan out Santos, we don't loan out Asugo, and maybe we don't loan out Anslimino. This is a very good, after the international break, this is a very, very, very good running of fixtures to that busy Christmas period that we just mentioned before. The international break comes again. I'm doing this in chunks. I'm trying to do it in blocks of, between the international breaks. But to me, again, they're winnable games. Now, it's easy to say that. I'm just looking at a screen with letters on, but Arsenal at home, we should be able to beat them. If it was the Emirates, maybe it's a different conversation, but at home at Stamford Bridge, there's nothing to say we can't beat them. Burnley at Turf Moor, it's a difficult ground to go to, but it's not in the realms of impossible not to go and get 3 points there. We should be newly promoted as well, alongside Leeds United, who've newly promoted. But at Ellen Road, a Wednesday evening kickoff can be difficult. But again, we've got the quality. We should have the quality to go there and get the 3 points. And same for Bournemouth. Everton at Stamford Bridge is a winnable. The only one I think in this run of fixtures that I think will give us the biggest headache is December 20th, St James's Park. The two Champions League games, of course, they'll probably be difficult based on the new format as well. We could have difficult fixtures there, but I look at that Newcastle game and I do think, if I remember correctly, there was a game last season where it was before the Ipswich game and we should have won convincingly, and we just didn't. I can't remember now who it was, but I think once you go into that period of games and you have a really strange, bizarre result, it can derail the season. And I think that did happen to us when we went into last December. It just threw everything off completely. And we didn't play as well as we could in the Ipswich game. We have to do better this season. We have to, because after that, I feel again there's a big run of games here that will be difficult. I think the City game at the Etihad will be difficult. I think Fulham at Craven Cottage can and will be difficult. You then have the mindset of going into the FA Cup potentially at that point, or the Carabao Cup semi-final. So yeah, it's a run of games that we should be. There's no chunks of the season that I'm concerned about, I think is what I'm trying to say. I'm quite content with the run of fixtures and where they are. And yeah, I'm happy for that. So Theo's put here that we've played Palace on the opening day, the 2021-22 season at Stamford Bridge. Then Arsenal away on the second match day, but in a row is crazy. I agree 100%. But again, I think it's good, because London derbies are difficult games. And I think if you've got a run of games that you can get out of the way, like I said, even play United, I think we play United, then we play, United, then we play Liverpool in that first busy part of the season before the first international break. If we get some of those games out of the way early on, I think if we can win them, then I'm glad they're out the way, because it isn't easy. The only thing I will say is, we've got two home advantages against Crystal Palace and Fulham. We then go to the London Stadium and obviously the G-Tech for the Brentford away game. But that game could be winnable, because if you think, we have come up against some really difficult Thomas Frank sides for Brentford, but he's no longer there. And I think when we come to play Tottenham on the 1st of November, they may still be finding themselves out a little bit under Thomas Frank, how he wants them to play, how he wants them to work. So I think I'm not too concerned about the opening games of the season. I'll be honest, the games that I am concerned about that opening period is the Newcastle game. I think the back end of the season, if we just have a quick look at that again, the back end of the season I think will be difficult, because if we have a look here, we've got April 11th. Now, these are two home games. They're two games at Stamford Bridge, back to back, depending on whether they get moved or not based on how our season goes. But April 11th, Man City. Now, again, of course, we need to caveat that Man City could have been flying away by the season. The season could potentially be almost wrapped up at this point. But if it isn't, and we're still in the running, and we're still title chasing, and we're still part of the pack that wants to win the league, that is a serious run of games there. That is a serious. And then if we are in the FA Cup final, let's add that in, because why not? That is a serious run of games. That's a serious. Well, let's just add all of those in. Let's just add all those in. So originally I said, I'm not too concerned about Sunderland, but when you group it all together, let's think we've got an international break March. I think that's the final one of the season. The FA Cup quarterfinal, let's add that in. I'm actually now looking back at it. In fact, no, let's go back a bit further. Let's go back even further than that. That is actually a busy period of football, even with the international break, because of course, we're sort of saying, it's an international window, but in all reality, a lot of our players will be involved in those internationals. So Newcastle at home, depending on if they keep Isak, if they bring someone else in, but it's all hypotheticals, but that could be a difficult game. As I said, going to Everton, again, we don't know if they're going to bring many players in, and if they do, what they will be like, and also playing at the new stadium, what effects that will have on Everton. Will it boost them? Will it take them some time? I remember when Arsenal went to the Emirates, it took them a couple of weeks, months even to get up to speed with their grounds. The same for West Ham and others. Then a potential Carabao Cup final before that international window. Now, a lot of our players, if you remember, we've got a lot of South Americans that be traveling wide and far to then come back to play a quarterfinal potentially in the FA Cup the following Saturday. But then if you look at this is a busy period to end your season on. Two home fixtures against the Manchester clubs. We then have Brighton at the Amex or potential semi-final, so that will move the fixture if we are in the FA Cup semi-final to another day for Brighton, the Brighton game. Forest at home, I'm not that concerned about, but they are a good team. We got to see what they did last season. They were unlucky not to get Champions League, but that final couple of games, Liverpool at Anfield, is never an easy game. Liverpool at Anfield is never any. It's always around that time as well. It's always around the back end of the season, normally like the second or third game to the end of the season. But Liverpool at Anfield will not be an easy game to then potentially lead into the Emirates FA Cup final the following Saturday, to then play Tottenham and Sunderland the back end of the season, our two final games. Now, we do need some points out of that. Say we're 6 points behind the leaders in the league, or we lead in the Premier League, and there's only a 6-point gap. I'll be honest, I see where I think we struggle. I think we could struggle to get points against City or United or Liverpool at Anfield. I think there's 9 points that you drop in April to May in that busy period. I think that I don't see where we get the points from against City, United and Liverpool. Obviously, things can change depending on transfers and all the rest of it throughout the next couple of weeks. But just based on what we've seen, the work that City have done to rebuild their squad, I think they'll be a force next season. United, I think, will be another force. I think they will bring in a striker. I don't think they'll go into the season with Zertsky and Højlund as their strikers. So I think they'll bring someone in. Liverpool, I think Florian Wirtz has been announced on Friday. They've got Kirkes coming in. They've got Frimpong. I'm sure there'll be more signings that they'll have coming before the season starts. So that is, to me, that's a really, really busy period of our season. Could be quite worrying if I'm being honest, but we'll have to see. Nottingham Forest, Liverpool was part of our final games again. Yeah, yeah. I'm not too concerned about Forest. I think Forest isn't the one that concerns me. I think if we need points, and it is Liverpool or City that are up there, there's a 6 point, 3 point, even a 9 point gap, and we're trying to close that gap down. That part of the season. That's what worries me, because I think City have a tendency to just click into gear at the right times, and they can just get wins, and they go on a really crazy run normally during the end part of the season. And I think with Liverpool, I think they'll want to try and build on the momentum from last season, back-to-back Premier Leagues and all the rest of it. So I think that will be a struggle for us as well. So, but again, Forest gave us the game, last game of the last season. We were lucky to get the win, and I think it was Colwell that got the winner for us on last game of the season. But Forest, we got to see what they could do last season. What fixtures is everyone looking forward to? There's a couple of people in the chat. So what's the fixtures that everyone is looking forward to, in terms of the fixture list at the moment? I think for me, if I'm honest, purely for personal sort of my own reasons, Liverpool on the 4th of October is going to be a good one. It's around my birthday, so that'd be a good fixture. And also the Liverpool away game, Anfield, will be good. I think the two Manchester games will be good. I know it's going to be difficult, but I think playing them both at home back to back will be good. Let's look at the busy period as well. I think I always look at the Christmas period. So I think playing Aston Villa day after Boxing Day, the 27th, I think at home will be good. We have Newcastle before that. So I'm looking forward to a couple of those games there. Yeah, Spurs versus Chelsea, November 1st. That'd be good. Thomas Frank's first test against us. Crystal Palace as a starter will be an entertaining watch. I agree. Winnable. I think it's winnable. I think especially if they lose Eze, they've already lost Elise last season. I don't think Mateta's deal's been agreed, been renewed. So I think if they don't have him, they lose Eze to Bayern Munich. I think unless they bring some, like for like quality, I think we should beat them. One game I am looking forward to, again, obviously personal reasons, and I want to try and get there as well. March 21st, we go to Hill Dickinson. Lovely name for a stadium. Everton, formerly Bramley Moore Docks. So we'll be there March 21st. That's the way. That's just before the Carabao Cup final, so we could be in there as well. So I'm looking forward to that one. Away to Leeds on Wednesday in December at 8 p.m. isn't great for travelling fans. It's really not. It's really not. It's a nightmare as well. So I mean, once you get to like Leeds in terms of getting there, but to get back from Leeds at that time of the night is on a Wednesday. It's definitely a hotel job. Unless you favour the 6-hour coach journey back from Leeds to London, straight after the game. But I think there's some really good fixtures. I think like Theo said in the chat, Tottenham 1st of November, really big game. We have a Champions League game straight after that. That'd be good. Again, let's look at some of the teams that came up. So Sunderland, we played them at Stamford Bridge, October 25th. Obviously, we played them at the Stadium of Light, last game of the season, 24th of May. Burnley as well. We play them quite early on, don't we, in the season? Yeah, away, 22nd of November, Turf Moor. And then we've got Leeds away, as Theo said, December 3rd, which isn't going to be an easy game. Because to be honest, we've got a bit of history there. Throwback to Chalobah's first Premier League appearance and first Chelsea goal versus Palace on the opening day in 2021. Yeah, I remember, if you remember that, the celebrations for Chalobah, I think it was a good goal as well, if I remember. It was just outside the box, or might have just been in the box, but it was a lovely little strike. And you could see what it meant to him as well, getting his first goal. If you remember, all the Chelsea players went straight over to him just to celebrate with him. It was a good moment for Chalobah. Definitely deserves it. Will he be? Feels asking, will he still be here in August? I can't remember what I was saying before, so I'm not sure who you mean, but I can't remember. Been so long for a Chelsea Sunderland game. It has been. I wonder how Sunderland will do. Obviously, they've lost Joe Bellingham, who I actually don't think he's that. I don't think he's that good, if I'm honest. But you know, the last 2 seasons, I think the promoted teams that have come into the Premier League are the teams that have been relegated. So it shows you that there is a gulf in class between the Premier League players as it stands at the Premier League teams as it stands at the moment, and the teams that are coming up. They're going to find it tricky. They really are going to find it tricky. But we will have to see. We will have to see how the season pans out. I'm looking forward to it now. The fixtures are out. I think my mind is going to be fully fixed on looking at this. I'm sure a lot of things. I know Theo definitely will be looking at potential away days for himself and the days planning his travels around his home games as well. But I think I'm looking forward to it now. Now that the fixtures are out, it's not actually that long away. I mean, our first game is 17th of August. We've got the Club World Cup potentially till the 13th of July. We then have, I think, like I said, I'm sure the games are on the 10th of August. We play AC Milan. I think at Stamford Bridge, there's 2 fixtures that are going to be held at Stamford Bridge, one of them being AC Milan. I think that's on the 10th of August. So that's only a week before the season starts. So once we've got July out the way, we can get to the final of the Club World Cup. We're talking 3 weeks or so before we get that pre-season friendly Stamford Bridge, and then the season kicks off the following week. So there isn't actually that long to go at all. Club World Cup will show what we might have to look forward to this season. I agree. I said before in the live that I think we should be using this as a test, not just to try and win it, but to test ourselves, get ready for the Champions League. I know we're not going to be playing LAFC all the time in the Champions League, but we will come up. We've got to play some of the strongest squad teams in the Club World Cup. I think we can potentially get Bayern Munich if I remember correctly reading on it the other night, but we have to use the squad to its best ability, and I think those 2 pre-season games will be a big test for us as well. We almost, I know I don't want to say this, but I think we do need to use the Club World Cup a little bit, not just as a tournament, but to build up the match fitness. And I say build up very loosely because the players really haven't had that much of a break. But this is the time for Maresca to test out Asugo, to test out Liam Delap, to test out Anslamino. I would test out those players. I'd even give Nkunku a little bit more game time, maybe whilst he's over there. I know he's almost hell bent on leaving the club, but give him opportunity to see whether he does actually fit into the door can't surely be completely shut for Nkunku. And I think if there's opportunity for him to come back in this team, we need to see it now, because there's 2 things that is going to be happening. He either stays at the club or his opportunity is gone. And this is our opportunity to put him in a shop window for potential buyers from other clubs to come and see Nkunku. So I think we need to kind of use the Club World Cup as a massive where are we moment in terms of the club, in terms of the players, in terms of the manager, how he wants them to play, the style of play that he wants. But also, let's go and win it. Why not go and win the Club World Cup? Can you imagine if we win the Club World Cup? We then go into that season off the back of that on a high. We then go and get a good striker, an elite striker, to support Nicholas Jackson and Liam Delap. We then bring in a potential, Jamie Gittins or whoever, to play on the left side. I think we have a solid squad. The midfield, I think if we go on paper, we've got one of the best in the Premier League with Caicedo, Fernandes. If we do keep Asugo, we have Lavia, Andre Santos as well. We've got Paez that needs to come back into the team at some point. So this is a solid start to our season is going to be so crucial, and a very good, strong finish is also going to be very, very crucial. Last thing I'll say before we end the stream is that we have to try and keep the likes of Reece James fully fit. We have to keep the likes of Caicedo, who played a lot of football last season, fully fit. Enzo, the same. Lavia. We need to see what happens to Wesley Fofana when he comes back. Can he get himself back into the team? I really hope we keep Trevor Chalobah. I really hope we keep Trevor Chalobah. I think he's. I think we'll. I think we'll struggle to replace someone like Trevor Chalobah. I think Tosson's very, very good, but I look at Levi Colwell. I look at the obviously the injuries that Wesley Fofana's had, and I don't know if selling or letting Trevor Chalobah go is actually the right choice or the right answer to the solution. But KB saying we ain't winning any Club World Cup with Maduki as our start. Well, this is it. I mean, Madueke didn't do well on Monday. For me, there's two things. Madueke clearly is more suited on the right, but I also think Pedro Neto is more suited on the right. So I think he's almost been shoehorned into a left-sided role, which doesn't suit him. He didn't look comfortable trying to take on the fullback on Monday. But what I will say is, for me, there's an argument that maybe you put Nicholas Jackson there as a makeshift in this Club World Cup. Maybe you've got to play Nicholas Jackson, who I think, if you remember, a couple of games, I think it was either under Pochettino, but it was definitely a couple of games where he played off the left and he looked good. Nicholas Jackson actually looked, because Nicholas Jackson can take on plays, he can run with the ball. He's not scared to go down the byline as well and cross it in, but he's also good at cutting in. He holds up plays the ball really well. That would then free up the role for Liam Delap to link up better with Nicholas Jackson and Cole Palmer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, Madueke just didn't look good. He has to do better on Friday, especially if he starts the game. But yeah, I mean, we have every opportunity to definitely get out of the group. We've got Flamengo, as I said, on Friday, and then Ez Tunis on Tuesday, I think it is. So is it Tuesday? Let me get my facts right before I start telling lies. Wednesday, technically Tuesday, Wednesday, depending. 2 a.m. Is Tunis, who is a very, I mean, look, Flamengo's no pushover. They're no pushover, and Ez Tunis are no pushover either. So I think we have to give them the respect that they deserve for me personally. Theo was saying experiment with Palmer on the wing. Bring Enzo as the 10, Santos in the midfield alongside Caicedo and Lavia. I agree as well. I agree. I would prefer to see Cole Palmer on the right if we were to bring him. Because if you remember, I mean, I've been saying it for pretty much most of the season just gone, that Cole Palmer for me was more effective on the right side under Pochettino, and he was playing really good football and he scored some amazing goals from that right-hand side. And I think Pedro Neto has the ability to play on the left. He does. He's done it for Wolves. He's done it for us as well. And I agree. Enzo Fernandez is, I said it yesterday, he's one of those players that does remind me of Frank Lampard. His last minute burst into the box, the energy that he brings going forward. I think he's more suited maybe as the 10. We cannot let Santos not get game time this season. He has to get as much game time as anything. I think if he doesn't, then we run the risk of stumping his progression, his development. And I think Santos has to be playing next season. So, and Lavia Caicedo, like I said, we've got options in the midfield. We have to, this is down now. This is where Maresca's going to have to earn his money, because he has to make sure that, one, he utilizes the squad to the best of his ability, and also he keeps all of his players fresh, because there is going to be a lot of football coming up. Like, we've just been for the fixture list. So, yeah, maybe we put Palmer on the wing. Maybe we put him on the right-hand side. We know the likes of João Felix, Raheem Sterling, and Kunku will potentially be leaving. So I do think we need additional cover on the wider areas of the midfield, of the attack, because if we lose all those three, the likes of Carney Chukwuemeka, I think, will go. So we need options. We still don't know what's happening with Mykhailo Mudryk. His number's now gone to Cole Palmer. We just don't know. We just don't know what's going on. So I think personally, for me, it's all on Maresca. I'll end it like that. It's all on Maresca. I'm joking. It's not all on Maresca, but it's definitely, Maresca has to get it right. He has to get the team balance right. Like I said, the Club World Cup should be his opportunity to, I'm not saying experiment, but definitely look at other options. And these Flamengo, Ez Tunis are two games where you could potentially, like Theo said in the chat, where you could potentially just put Cole Palmer on one of the wings, put Enzo in the 10, Caicedo, Lavia, Santos. You've got options there. You need to test Anslimino, Asugo. I liked when he came on. He didn't get much minutes, but he looked comfortable on the ball. Use your players. Use the squad that we've got. And then at least when you go into those games in the early part of the season, going up against Crystal Palace first game of the season, you're ready. You're ready to take them on at Stamford Bridge. So I'm looking forward to the season. I can't lie. I'm looking forward to it now. I wish it was already August 17th and it was a Sunday, 2 p.m. and we was looking forward to that first game. But it's going to be a grueling season. We'll be doing a lot more predictions of the season upcoming over the next couple of weeks. So make sure you tune in. Don't forget to smash the subscribe button as well. Thank you for everyone that's been in the chat. We'll be back soon. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all later.